Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know what some of you were thinking. You're looking at the title of this film and you're like, I can't believe I subscribed to him. I thought we were gonna talk about bokeh and he's talking about yoga. Well, whatever. If that's you, you should probably listen to this more than anyone else because I think you could probably get a lot of benefit from it. So yes, I need to talk about yoga, but I need to preface why I'm doing this and why I think it actually transcends from yoga into the photo space, the book space, whatever space you find yourself in life. But I need to preface why I'm doing this. I have not had a good health track record my entire life. I had double bronchial pneumonia at 6 months old, and I've been ill for long stretches of my life, including in 2014, I got diagnosed with Lyme disease. Lyme is a beast. It is by far the worst thing I've ever had. I've had meningitis, I've had Epstein-Barr, I've had parasites, I've had all kinds of stuff. Lyme is a nightmare. And all I can say is you don't want it. One of the things that allowed me to start to build my way out of Lyme disease was yoga. It was literally the only physical thing I could do. Right before I got Lyme, I bought a brand new bicycle, a Salsa Fargo Titanium, the bike I still ride. For 2 years, I could not ride that bicycle. It sat in my house and I just stared at it because I was too sick. Yoga was the first thing that let me sort of start creeping out. But what I've noticed over the years is that there are these massive misconceptions about yoga and myths about yoga that I think would be helpful to dispel, because I honestly believe that for every single person watching this video, it does not matter your age, it does not matter your socioeconomic standing, it does not matter your health level or your exercise ability. Yoga is something that is worth thinking about incorporating into your life. And I know it can sound totally woo-woo. I've got some incense just off camera and there's someone in Lotus hovering in my yard. I don't even know who it is. The point is, it's a very interesting thing, but it's hard to talk about and it's hard to put into words, and it's very easy for me to get people to turn off and go the other way. So I'm not woo-woo about this. I need to dispel some myths about me and yoga and then some myths in general, and then I want to hit you. The last thing I'm going to do is hit you with probably the biggest woo-woo part is at the very end. So if you're into that kind of crap, and it's crap, if you're into that, just stay tuned. So the first myth about yoga, me and yoga, and I'm experimenting whether these mics work on a t-shirt. I hope they do because it's getting hot here. Number one myth is I'm not a great yoga practitioner. I'm not even a good yoga practitioner. What I am is an avid yoga practitioner. There's a huge difference. I once used to, when I lived in California, where yoga is a competitive sport in a lot of yoga studios. It can be hard if you're new to go in because everybody weighs 35 pounds, they don't eat, they drink coffee all day long, and they're super competitive. I'm not recommending that per se. But one of the only classes that was available to me was at 5 in the morning, and it was taught by a woman who was like level 3 or 4 Ashtanga yoga practitioner, and there's not a whole lot of these people running around. It was survival mode for me just to even get through that class. I would start worrying about it the night before, which totally defeats the purpose of doing yoga, which is why I don't go there anymore. Now, I'm not knocking her. To get to that level is astounding. And it kind of opened my eyes of what the possibilities were, the capabilities. But people will say to me, well, I don't want to do yoga. You do it because you're really good at it. I'm not really good at it. I'm not even remotely close to good at it, which brings me to myth number 2. People think I'm super knowledgeable about yoga. Now, I have read a fair amount, and there's a book that I think is good for people to read if you're very curious about sort of the origins of it, which I was fascinated by. It's a book called Wisdom of Yoga by a guy named Stephen Cope. C-O-P-E. I don't know him, never met him, never talked to him, don't know much about him. Read this book, was blown away about when yoga was created and why. And it was very surprising to me because I thought it was a physical routine. I thought it was about health, whatever. It's not. It was about mind space and breathing. And those are the 2 primary elements that you're going to take from yoga. This isn't really a myth, but people think that I'm really good, a very good yoga instructor, and I'm not. I don't have a teaching degree. I don't have a yoga certificate. I would love to get that at some point in my life. I don't have one. But I would say that 95% of all the people that I've helped get into yoga have come back over time and said, thank you for doing that. I still do it. It changed my life. It's very helpful, etc. Very rarely do people do it for a couple of days and not do it anymore. All right, let's move on and dispel some. These are good. This is where it gets interesting and funny to me because I've had to address these questions literally 10,000 times. Okay, quote number 1, myth number 1. Quote, I would do yoga, but I'm not flexible. End quote. Da-da-da, da-da, da-da-da. That's, it's very serious. You're not flexible. Look, I am not flexible at all. I'm super tight. I always have been. Yoga is not about flexibility. It's not about balance, and it's not about strength. Those are byproducts of doing yoga. Yoga is about breathing and mind space. Those are the 2 things that are the hardest to attain is to learn and understand how to breathe, and also to learn and understand how to train your mind. That's why a lot of times people will shy away from it, because they go, oh, I'm not flexible, I don't even want to go there. Because the thought of learning how to breathe and the thought of getting in deep contact with your mind is terrifying to people. So I get it, but it's not about flexibility. I still can barely touch my toes, and I've been doing yoga every day for a decade. Myth number 2, and I love this one too. This is probably my personal favorite. Quote, I would do yoga, but I need a real workout. I'm with you, baby. It doesn't matter what kind of yoga you do. There is one style of yoga that's pretty mellow. I still practice that from time to time because it is really helpful in certain ways. Yoga is an insane workout, and I can crush you in one pose in 10 minutes. So it doesn't matter who you are, yoga is a workout. But remember, before the physical side comes the mental and the breathing. Those are the two primary things that will transcend into the rest of your life. If you want a hardcore workout, there's plenty of yoga studios out there that offer classes like the one I mentioned before, level 3, 4 Ashtanga, that was literally terrifying for me to try to get through. The workout is there. But the funny part is, of all the people I've helped over the years get into yoga, the people who had the most difficulty were the ones who claimed they needed a workout because they could not get through my routine. And my routine is really basic. It really is basic. Most yoga practitioners would kind of look at my routine and say, I can't believe you do that same thing every day. It's pretty basic. But I do, and the weightlifters and the ones who go to spin class, and those people are the ones that have the hardest time. And that is just with the physical elements. They don't come close to learning the breathing or the mind side. They're just struggling with the physical part. So it's pretty fun when those people sort of sync and fall in line, and not fall in line, but get in sync with the whole thing and realize, oh my God, this is a great workout. Okay, point number 3. And this is legit in some places. Quote, I would do yoga, but it's too expensive. Yoga is wildly expensive in certain places. I mentioned I lived in Southern California for quite some time. That's where I discovered yoga after injuring myself in the gym lifting weights. I was relegated to the spin bike, and I looked over, and there was a small yoga studio that had about 6 students. And I kept looking in there, and 5 of the students were women and very accomplished, and 1 was a man who was the singular tightest human being I've ever seen in my life. And he would always stay to himself in the very back of the room, and he just looked like he was struggling. And I looked at him, and I watched him over a period of weeks, and I thought, you know, if that guy's in there doing that, and he's going in there a day after day, I should give it a shot. That's how I got into yoga. Now, it turned out that the woman who was instructing that class is a world-class yoga instructor. So for the first 2 years of me doing yoga, I basically had private instruction from this woman, and that changed my life. So it can be expensive, but here's the thing. I have not been to a yoga studio in years. I do yoga by myself every day at my house. I also have a travel yoga mat that I use when I go overseas or I travel anywhere. It's in my suitcase. It's very light and small. I do it in hotel rooms. I always work it in, whether it's a 10-minute or 40-minute or an hour, I always get something in. And it doesn't cost me anything. I'm doing this at home. I bought a yoga mat that was $100 that had a lifetime guarantee. And I've had it now for 5 years. It looks exactly like it did when I bought it. It's that brand that has like the little lizard on it. It's red and white. I should probably know that before doing this film, but it's out there. And you don't need that. You can use anything. You can probably get a yoga mat for free just by asking around, because I kind of guarantee that some of your friends have dabbled and gotten out. Okay, here's the last woo-woo thing, and then I'm gonna leave you alone. And the next film may or may not be about photography, but this is really important, and this is where it gets a little woo-woo. But all I can tell you is what happened to me. Yoga is a decision about your life. It's not about the workout, it is about the breathing and the mindset. But yoga, doing yoga, committing to it, is really about making a decision about your life, that you want to live your life in a specific way. Your life is about peace, tranquility, intelligence, connection, thoughtfulness, etc. When you make that decision, it may not happen overnight. You may not feel it overnight. But I've always tell people, if you do yoga for 2 weeks every day, you won't stop ever. The thought of stopping and not doing it just becomes inconceivable. But it's about a decision making about how you're looking at the world, about thinking about other people more than yourself, about doing very basic, small, thoughtful things that are helpful or appreciated by people who need it. And I know that does sound a little woo-woo. It shouldn't, but it does, because that's not really what our culture and society are about. But all I can tell you is on personal experience that it works. The first physical transformations that I felt were in my hands and feet. I suddenly felt a power in my hands and feet that I had never felt before in terms of absolute crushing strength that I never got from lifting weights. I never got it from any other style of workout. It only came from yoga. And also even the way that I move, the movements of my body were different now than they are prior to my discovering yoga. The way that my body feels, how I move, and how I can accomplish what I do. But remember, the underlying foundation of this for me is about health. It's about being able to maintain a level of health that allows me to function at the level that I need, whether that be for Blurb, or whether it be for AG23, or whether it be for me personally, cycling, hiking, fishing, climbing, paddling, all that stuff. The foundation is yoga. If I had to give up every single other thing in my life and could only choose one physical exercise for the rest of my life, it would be yoga. So I'm not really sure how much more clear I could possibly be. So I know there's probably some skeptics out there. That's totally fine. You don't have to wear a loincloth. You don't have to wear patchouli. You don't have to, sleep in lotus position unless you want to. And then I encourage you to do all three of those. But anyway, that's my piece on yoga. If you have questions, hit me up below. Love to answer your questions about this because I think it really is important. And oh, by the way, when you start to get in a little more contact with your brain and your body, it impacts your photography as well. It impacts the way you're looking at pictures in the world, how you're dealing with the photographs, the people in your photographs. They can sense and feel that energy when you're walking up. And you'll know the more you do this when you walk into a scene, whether you're welcome or you're not. But yoga is a little piece, a little sliver of that connects a lot of these dots. So if you haven't done it, try it. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.